There are roads that were never meant to exist, carved into cliffs, suspended over chasms, stretched across ice so thin it breathes beneath you. They defy geography. They defy engineering. They defy common sense. And yet, humans built them anyway. Because on the other side of the impossible was a village, a family, a life worth reaching. Today we drive the roads that fear forgot. 25 of the world's most dangerous, breathtaking, and unbelievable routes on Earth. Would you dare to take the wheel? We begin at one of the most terrifying river crossings on the planet. Welcome to the Hosseini Hanging Bridge in the Hunza Valley of northern Pakistan, where the word bridge feels dangerously generous. This swinging rope bridge stretches across the turquoise waters of the Borat Lake and the Hunza River at an altitude of nearly 2,400 meters. Its wooden slats are broken, missing, or simply too far apart to trust. The ropes holding it together are frayed. The whole thing moves constantly. Below, the glacial river rushes white and merciless. But for the people of Hosseini village, this is the commute. Children walk this bridge to school. Farmers carry their harvest across it. There's no other way. For the rest of us, it is pure, unfiltered terror in every step. The Hosseini Bridge doesn't just test your balance, it tests your faith. From the peaks of Pakistan to the frozen edge of the world. Route 500, the Dempster Highway, is Canada's only public road to cross the Arctic Circle, and it does so without apology. 736 kilometers of unpaved gravel road, no gas stations for hundreds of kilometers, no cell signal, no guardrails, temperatures that plunge to minus 40 in winter, and a road built on permafrost, meaning the ground itself is frozen, unstable, and actively thawing in summer. Flat tires are so common, 2 spare tires are the minimum recommendation. Not 1, 2. The highway passes through some of the most untouched wilderness in North America. The Tombstone Range, sweeping tundra valleys, caribou migration paths, and northern lights that turn the sky into fire. It is staggeringly beautiful. And it will strand you without hesitation if you're not prepared. In Canada, this isn't called dangerous, it's called remote. Up here, those words mean the same thing. In the mountains of Shikoku Island, Japan, there are bridges that are alive. The Kazurabashi, the vine bridges of Aya Valley, are woven from the roots and vines of a mountain wisteria. They have been here for over 800 years. Legend holds they were first built by the Heike clan, warriors fleeing defeat in the 12th century, who needed river crossings they could quickly cut if enemies pursued them. Today, the bridges are reinforced with steel cables hidden within the vines, but the experience remains primal. Every step produces a sway. Every gust makes the whole structure dance, and the gaps between the slats are wide enough to see exactly what awaits you if you fall. There's something humbling about crossing a bridge that has outlasted empires. These vines held samurai. They held farmers through centuries of storm and flood, and right now, they're holding you. Nepal is a country of extremes. Its mountains are the highest on Earth, and its roads, some of the most dangerous. The Karnali Highway is a 225-kilometer route connecting the remote Karnali province to the rest of Nepal. To call it a highway is to redefine the word entirely. It winds through the Himalayas at elevations reaching 3,600 meters, crossing landslide zones, traversing cliff faces with no barrier between the vehicle and oblivion, and frequently washing away in monsoon season. There are no detours if the road collapses. Many sections exist only during the dry season, and for the people of the Karnali region, one of Nepal's most isolated and impoverished areas, this road is their only lifeline to hospitals, markets, and the outside world. Every truck driver who runs the Karnali Highway knows the risks, and every one of them shows up anyway, because the alternative, no road at all, is worse. Not all dangerous roads are in remote corners of the world. Some of the most unsettling drives are hiding in plain sight. Deception Pass Bridge in Washington State looks postcard perfect. A graceful steel arch connecting Whidbey Island to Fidalgo Island above one of the most violent tidal channels on the American West Coast. The bridge sits 57 meters above water, that's nearly 190 feet, and below it, the Deception Pass Channel squeezes water from Puget Sound into the Strait of Juan de Fuca, creating tidal currents so powerful they form standing whirlpools and dangerous eddies. The bridge itself is engineering from 1935, still standing, still used, still crossing one of nature's most unpredictable choke points. Its name isn't coincidence. Explorer George Vancouver was deceived into thinking this was a peninsula. When he discovered it was an island, he named the pass for the deception itself, and the water beneath it is still full of surprises. In the Andes Mountains, where the border of Chile and Argentina meets the sky, there is a pass so twisting, so relentless, it earned a name straight from its shape. Los Caracoles, the snails. This mountain pass climbs to 3,200 meters through a series of 29 serpentine switchbacks, each one carved into the sheer face of the Andes. There are no guardrails on the exposed curves. There is barely room for two vehicles to pass. In summer, it's a demanding, adrenaline-charged drive. In winter, it becomes a nightmare of ice, fog, and snow that can close the pass entirely without warning. This is the main land crossing between Santiago and Mendoza, one of South America's busiest overland routes. Thousands of trucks use it every week. From above, Los Caracoles looks like a sketch, like someone drew a road that couldn't possibly exist and then built it anyway. For decades, the Royal Gorge Bridge held a title no engineer wanted to surrender. The highest suspension bridge in the world. At 321 meters, nearly the height of the Eiffel Tower, the Royal Gorge Bridge hangs above one of North America's most dramatic canyon cuts. The Arkansas River carved this gorge over millions of years. The bridge above it was built in just 5 months in 1929. The deck is made of 1,292 wooden planks. You can see through them. You can feel the bridge breathe in the Colorado wind. And you can see, far, far below, the white water of the Arkansas shining like a thread of light. It was the world's highest bridge for 74 years, until surpassed by China's Beipan River Bridge in 2003. But standing on those wooden planks, peering through the gap at the gorge below, no number tells the story better than your own heartbeat. China doesn't build bridges to connect places. China builds bridges to bend reality. The Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon. Glass Bridge stretches 430 meters between two cliff faces in Hunan Province, the same dramatic landscape that inspired the floating mountains of the Avatar films. It hangs 300 meters above the canyon floor, and the entire deck is made of glass. When it opened in 2016, it immediately broke multiple world records. Longest glass bridge, highest glass bridge, and quite possibly the most psychologically challenging walk in the world. The engineers stress tested the glass with sledgehammers. It held. The bridge was designed by Israeli architect Haim Dotan. It held. The only thing that doesn't hold is your nerve. At 3,842 meters above sea level, you are above the clouds, above the tree line, above the oxygen your brain expects. Welcome to the Aiguille du Midi, the needle of midday, one of the most dramatic peaks in the Alps above Chamonix, France. To reach it, you take one of the highest cable cars in the world, rising 2,807 meters of vertical in under 20 minutes. When the doors open, the temperature drops, the air thins, and the view explodes into 360 degrees of Mont Blanc, the Swiss Alps, and the Italian Apennines. And then there's the bridge, a narrow metal walkway connecting two sections of the peak with exposure on both sides that makes your body scream danger even as your mind says you're safe. There's no road here. No vehicle could survive. This is a crossing made entirely on foot, in the thin air of the high Alps, where one gust of wind feels like it could rewrite everything. Some of the world's most terrifying crossings are the shortest ones. The Carrick-Arita rope bridge in County Antrim stretches just 20 meters, but those 20 meters hang 30 meters above the churning Atlantic Ocean, and they will test every inch of your courage. For over 350 years, salmon fishermen stretched rope bridges across this narrow gap to reach the island's fishing grounds. The current bridge, 2 wire ropes and wooden slats, is maintained by the National Trust and visited by hundreds of thousands of tourists every year. On a calm day, the crossing is thrilling. On a blustery Atlantic day, which is most days on the Antrim coast, it's something else entirely. The bridge pitches, the ropes creak, the sea spray hits your face. And when you reach the other side, that small island that salmon fishermen called home for centuries, you understand what it means to earn a view. In Chinese culture, the number 9 represents eternity and longevity. So when the engineers of Tianmen Mountain Road decided to build a road to the summit, they built exactly 99 turns. Not 98, not 100. 99. This 11-kilometer road climbs 1,300 meters of elevation through 99 switchbacks carved into the face of Tianmen Mountain in Hunan Province. Each turn is sharper than it looks from a distance. Each curve has a sheer drop on the outer edge, and barely enough room to make the turn on the inside. Tianmen, Heaven's Gate, is the mountain with a natural cave arch near its summit. The road was built to reach it, and it earns every prayer it receives on the way up. It was featured in a Top Gear China special and a Volkswagen commercial. The cars barely make the turns. The view from the top makes every one of them worth it. Europe's highest suspension bridge for pedestrians isn't in a jungle. It isn't over a river. It's strapped to the face of a 3,000-meter alpine glacier, and it juts out into nothing. The Titlis Cliff Walk opened in 2012 at the summit of Mount Titlis above the Swiss village of Engelberg. It hugs the cliff at an elevation of 3,041 meters, above the permanent snow line, above the clouds on many days, offering a catwalk along the mountain's edge. On one side, the sheer rock face of Titlis. On the other, a 500-meter plunge to the glacier. The bridge itself is safe, engineered to extraordinary Swiss precision. Every bolt, every cable, tested to tolerances that would satisfy an aircraft engineer. But standing on it, with nothing beneath you but 500 meters of frozen air, your body hasn't read the engineering report, and it won't stop shaking until you're back on solid ground. It has many names. Some call it the most scenic drive in America. Some call it the most terrifying. In Colorado, they call it the $1 Million Highway. This 40-kilometer stretch of U.S. Highway 550 runs between Ouray and Silverton in the San Juan Mountains, through a landscape of jaw-dropping beauty and white-knuckle engineering. The highway climbs to 3,353 meters at Red Mountain Pass. It crosses through 3 mountain passes, and in critical sections, there are no guardrails because the rock doesn't allow them, and because the original builders decided drivers needed to see the drop clearly. How it got its name is disputed. Some say it cost $1 million per mile to build. Some say the fill dirt used in construction contained $1 million worth of gold ore. Others say it's worth $1 million just for the view. Whatever the reason, every mile earns the name. When it was completed in 1957, the Mackinac Bridge was the longest suspension bridge in the Western Hemisphere. Today, it remains one of the most exposed, most wind-battered bridges in the world. The Mighty Mac connects Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas across the Straits of Mackinac, where Lake Michigan and Lake Huron collide. The bridge is 8 kilometers long, rises 55 meters above the waterline, and sits in the path of Great Lakes storm systems that generate winds exceeding 105 kilometers per hour. In strong wind events, the Bridge Authority changes lane assignments. The graded outer lanes, through which you can see the water below, are switched to let wind pass through without catching the broadside of the vehicle. And if conditions become too severe, authorities drive your car across for you. Some drivers can't manage it alone. In Michigan, they have a bridge crew ready to help. That tells you everything. It has been voted, repeatedly, one of the scariest bridges in America. Not for its height, not for its engineering, but for what it does to the human mind. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Maryland crosses 7 kilometers of open water. At its peak, it rises 40 meters above the bay. The lanes are narrow, the shoulders barely exist, and the guardrails are low enough that looking sideways means staring directly at open water. For drivers with gyrophobia, the fear of bridges, or aquaphobia, or even just a standard fear of heights, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge is a specific kind of personal nightmare. Thousands of drivers per year pay to have someone else drive their car across. There's an actual business built around crossing this bridge. Professional drivers who will take your car from one side to the other, while you sit in the passenger seat, eyes closed, hands folded in your lap. The bridge is completely safe. The fear is not rational, and none of that matters when you're on it. From certain angles, it doesn't look like a bridge at all. It looks like a ramp that forgot where it was going. The Storsøysundet Bridge is the most dramatic span on Norway's Atlantic Ocean road, a stretch of highway that island hops through the Norwegian Sea via a series of bridges and causeways. At 260 meters long, it curves and rises, designed to allow fishing boats to pass beneath. But from the approach, the geometry of the curve creates an illusion so convincing that the bridge appears to simply end in the sky above the ocean. In storm season, the Atlantic Ocean Road earns its name. Waves break over the carriageway. Spray covers the windshield. The wind pushes vehicles across lanes. It was built to connect communities. It became a photographic obsession. And in the right storm, the right light, the right angle, the Storsjøsundet Bridge looks less like a road and more like a dare. Drivers call it sacred. Car magazines call it the greatest road in the world. Your brake pads call it a nightmare. The Stelvio Pass in the Italian Alps was completed in 1825 by order of the Austrian Empire to connect the Austrian province of Lombardy to the Valtellina Valley. It climbs to 2,758 meters through 75 numbered switchbacks, 48 on the eastern approach alone. It was named by Top Gear as the greatest driving road in the world. It's a legendary cycling climb in the Giro d'Italia, and in winter, it closes entirely, buried under meters of snow. But in summer, the road is pilgrimage for drivers from across Europe. They come in supercars, motorcycles, ancient Fiats, and rental hatchbacks. They all slow down at the same corners. They all steal the same glance at the same cliff edges. There are greater passes. There are more dangerous roads. But for sheer driving theater, Stelvio has no equal on this earth. To reach this bridge, you walk. There's no road, no cable car, no shortcut. Just a mountain trail through one of Switzerland's most dramatic glacier landscapes. And then, the Trift Bridge. The Trift Bridge is one of the longest pedestrian suspension bridges in the Alps. It was built to allow hikers access to the Trift mountain hut above the Trift Glacier, a glacier that has retreated dramatically in recent decades due to climate change, revealing the lake below the bridge. It is reached only on foot, after a steep 2-hour hike through rocky alpine terrain. It sways when you walk it. It sways when you stand still. The wind comes off the glacier cold and constant. And yet, it rewards you with one of the most isolated, otherworldly views in Switzerland. This bridge doesn't take you somewhere. It takes you nowhere. And that is precisely its point. In 2022, Vietnam broke a record that nobody expected Vietnam to hold: the longest glass-bottom bridge in the world. Bac Long, White Dragon, stretches 632 meters through the jungle-cloaked mountains of northern Vietnam. At its highest, it hangs 150 meters above the valley floor. Every step is glass, every meter is exposure. The bridge connects two hillsides above a forested valley near the town of Moc Chau, a region famous for tea plantations and seasonal wildflower blooms. From the glass deck, you see the valley below through your own feet: trees, river, mist, and 150 meters of Vietnamese mountain air. It surpassed China's Zhangjiajie Bridge in length. Vietnam is not finished building. The White Dragon hangs between the peaks, and below it, the mountain breathes. This is the only road into the Kingdom of Lesotho from South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province. It is also one of the most dangerous dirt roads on the African continent. Sani Pass climbs to 2,874 meters in roughly 9 kilometers, averaging a gradient of 8%, but reaching 33% on the steepest sections. The road is unpaved, unforgiving, and unmaintained to any standard a Western driver would recognize. In dry season, it is a punishing 4x4 challenge. In the wet season or winter, it becomes coated in ice and snow and virtually impassable. Standard vehicles are prohibited. This road belongs to the Land Cruisers. At the top sits the highest pub in Africa, a warming hut where successful climbers toast their rival with a beer and a view that stretches to the curved horizon of southern Africa. Most roads take you somewhere. Sani Pass takes you somewhere that barely lets you arrive. Among the oldest tourist attractions in British Columbia, and still one of the most viscerally unnerving. The Capilano Suspension Bridge has crossed the Capilano River since 1889. It stretches 137 meters and hangs 70 meters above the river below, amid one of the most beautiful temperate rainforests in North America. The original bridge was made of hemp rope and cedar planks. Today it is modern cable and wood, but the sway, the height, and the forest remain unchanged. The Capilano draws millions of visitors for its treetop walks and cliff walk extensions. But the original suspension bridge remains the heart of the experience. There is something specifically Canadian about this bridge. No fanfare, no spectacle. Just old growth, glacial river, and the original question, the one that has been here since 1889. Can you cross? Turkey is a country of dramatic landscapes and equally dramatic roads. The D915 highway connecting Bayburt to the Black Sea coast is not famous. It doesn't appear in many travel magazines. It has no nickname. But ask any Turkish truck driver, and they know exactly what you mean. This route climbs through the Pontine Mountains of northeastern Turkey, reaching elevations of 2,300 meters while navigating a road that mixes sharp switchbacks, unguarded cliff edges, heavy truck traffic, and frequently fog so thick you navigate by instinct and prayer. The D915 is used daily by freight vehicles connecting the Black Sea coast to inland Anatolia. There's no alternate route for hundreds of kilometers. Everyone uses this road. It's not the highest road in Turkey, it's not even the most isolated, but it is the road where locals say, drive slow, use your horn, and watch the fog. For 5 years, it held the title of the highest bridge in the world, 496 meters above the Sidhu River below. That is higher than the Empire State Building, higher than the Eiffel Tower, and you can drive across it. The Sidhu River Bridge in Hubei Province, China opened in 2009. Its 1,222-meter main span crosses a gorge so deep and steep that construction crews use rockets to shoot the first guide wires from one side to the other, because no other method could bridge the gap. Rockets. To build a road. When it opened, it connected two communities that had previously required a 3-hour mountain drive between them. The bridge reduced that journey to minutes. China has since built higher, but the Sidhu River Bridge remains a staggering monument to what happens when a nation decides a canyon is not an obstacle. It's just a problem waiting for a long enough cable. This is the road built by the dead. The Kolyma Highway runs 2,000 kilometers from Magadan on Russia's Pacific coast to Yakutsk, the coldest city on Earth. It was built through the Siberian taiga and tundra by prisoners of Stalin's Gulag system between the 1930s and 1950s. Hundreds of thousands died in the labor camps of Kolyma. Many of their bodies were buried in the permafrost beneath the road itself. It's been called the Road of Bones ever since. In summer, the permafrost thaws and the road becomes a mud trap. Impassable for weeks, in winter the temperature drops to -40, -50, sometimes -60 degrees Celsius. Engines must be kept running at all times, or they will not restart. Stopping is not an option. There are no services for hundreds of kilometers. Vehicles travel in convoy when possible. The Colima Highway is not a road you choose. It is a road you endure. And it remembers every person who walked it before you in chains. We began this journey with a fraying rope stretched across a Pakistani gorge. We ended in the clouds above the Andaman Sea. The Langkawi Sky Bridge is unlike anything else on this list. It doesn't cross a gorge. It doesn't connect two cliffs. It curves. 125 meters of gently arching walkway above the jungle canopy, supported by a single cable pylon at an elevation of 700 meters above sea level. Reached by a two-stage cable car, the bridge has a glass-floored section that looks directly down through the treetops. The walkway curves like a crescent moon above the island, and the view, 360 degrees of Andaman Sea, Malaysian jungle, and sky, is among the most beautiful vistas in Southeast Asia. This isn't a road built from desperation. It isn't a crossing made necessary by poverty or isolation. This is a bridge built purely for wonder. And after everything we've seen today, after the ice, the rope, the glass, the sheer drops, the dead cold of Siberia, the fog, the gorges, the switchbacks, the fear, wonder feels like exactly the right way to end. "25 roads, 25 crossings, 25 reasons why humans will go anywhere. Build anything just to get to the other side." Some of these roads were built from necessity, from poverty, from isolation, from the simple, stubborn need to connect. Some were built from ambition, from engineering pride, from the refusal to let geography be the final word. And some were built from the oldest human impulse of all, to stand at the edge of something terrifying and choose to cross anyway. The world's most dangerous roads are not warnings. They are invitations. The question is, will you accept? If this journey left you breathless, leave a comment below telling us which road you dare to drive. Subscribe to Hackley Travel for more world-class travel from the edge of the impossible. And remember, the most dangerous road is always the one you never took.